the heart of the American Wild West, a remarkable woman emerged from humble beginnings to become a legendary figure. This is the untold story of Annie Oakley, a sharpshooter whose skills and charisma left an indelible mark on the frontier. Annie Oakley, born Phoebe and Mosey on August 13, 1860, in Darke County, Ohio, was an iconic American sharpshooter and exhibition shooter. Early life. Annie Oakley's early life was marked by hardship. She grew up in a poor family and learned to shoot at a young age to help provide food for her siblings. Annie Oakley was one of several children in her family. She had 6 siblings, 5 sisters and 1 brother. However, it's important to note that not all of her siblings survived to adulthood. Legend has it that she could shoot the head off a running quail by the age of 12. When she was only 5 years old, her father, Jacob, died when he was caught in a blizzard on a trip to town. A few years later, Annie's family was close to losing their farm. Thankfully, Annie had learned how to hunt, and she was able to feed her family. Her skills not only supplied her family with food, but she also earned an income by selling wild game to Greenville merchants. Within 3 years, at the age of 15, she made enough money to pay off the family farm. Annie's prowess with a firearm not only helped feed her family but also caught the attention of local hotel owner and sharpshooting enthusiast, Isaiah Hughes. Hughes offered her a job as a markswoman, where she honed her skills and gained local recognition. On an 1875 visit to Cincinnati to see her sister, Annie competed in a local shooting match against a professional entertainment and trick shooter, Frank E. Butler. Annie's extraordinary talent caught the eye of Frank Butler, a skilled marksman. The amused Butler actually chuckled at the sight of the little lady who came up against him, and offered to take all bets, with a purse of $100. "It's going to be a pleasure to give you a lesson in marksmanship," so the story goes. "Why, you couldn't give me a lesson on long-distance spittin'." But Annie had the last laugh, hitting all 25 clay pigeons as they sailed into the air. Butler hit only 24. Butler was impressed, to say the least. He was also smitten, meeting his match in Annie. Their partnership extended beyond the shooting range, leading to a romantic connection and eventually marriage. He made it his mission to get to know the girl better and wormed his way into her heart. He succeeded, and the couple is believed to have married in Cincinnati, on August 23, 1876. In our investigation into the life of Annie Oakley, we encountered conflicting information regarding her marriage to Frank Butler. Initial findings suggested they were married on August 23, 1876, in Cincinnati, Ohio. However, contrasting evidence emerged from the archives of Ontario, which holds a marriage certificate dated June 20, 1882, in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Additionally, a historical marker near her grave in Ohio points to their marriage taking place in Ontario, Canada, lending weight to this version of events. Given these discrepancies, we considered the possibility of 2 ceremonies. One theory is a ceremony in Cincinnati, perhaps for the benefit of family and friends who might have found traveling to Canada difficult, especially in winter. Yet, this explanation is complicated by the 6-year gap between the supposed Cincinnati marriage in 1876 and the Canadian one in 1882. The Cincinnati location has a degree of plausibility, considering Oakley's Ohioan roots and her sister's residence in the area. However, the Canadian connection cannot be overlooked, particularly if they were touring there at the time. The historical marker by Oakley's grave asserting an Ontario, Canada marriage seems to be the most reliable account. We acknowledge that the history of Annie Oakley is marked by varying accounts and documentation inconsistencies. What we present may differ from other narratives, and we recognize that even our findings might not be entirely definitive. Our goal has been to cross-reference multiple sources to ensure accuracy as much as possible. Regardless of these historical ambiguities, the story of Annie Oakley remains both inspirational and captivating. Frank became Annie's mentor, refining her skills and introducing her to the world of exhibition shooting. Frank taught her additional tricks and techniques, refining her already impressive skills. Frank Butler's marriage to Annie was her way out of Greenville. Over the next 6 years, while Butler and his partner John Graham performed in the variety circuit, Annie played a supporting role. This routine was appended in Springfield, Ohio, where Graham's sudden illness thrust Annie into the spotlight as she held targets for Frank. Initially, Frank's aim was off, but a jeering heckler in the audience changed the course of the evening. Annie's flawless marksmanship captivated the audience, marking the end of Butler and Graham as a duo. Embracing her new role, Mrs. Butler chose a stage name with personal and geographical significance. She took her first name from her grandmother, Annie, and her last name from Oakley, a town near Cincinnati, thus transforming into Annie Oakley, a name that would soon become legendary. When the duo of Butler and Oakley took to the road, traveling entertainment was booming, from circuses to saloons. It was a grueling life for Annie and Frank, marked by endless train journeys, dingy hotels, and brief engagements. Their act, often placed between risque performers, was a stark contrast to the variety show's typical bawdy atmosphere. Annie, a Quaker from Ohio, was determined to maintain her dignity. She donned full-cover outfits, making her own costumes to ensure respectability while remaining agile for her performances. Frank quickly realized Annie's star potential. In a significant reversal of 19th-century norms, he became her assistant. Frank's admiration for Annie, coupled with his business acumen, saw her lead their act. In 1884, they secured a 40-week contract with Sells Brothers Circus, offering stable work in a family-friendly environment. However, the circus's harsh conditions and unreliable pay soon had them contemplating a return to the variety circuit. As fate would have it, Buffalo Bill's Wild West show arrived in New Orleans just as their circus season ended. Despite initial reluctance, including Cody's skepticism and the presence of another star shooter, Captain Bogardus, Annie and Frank joined Buffalo Bill after Bogardus left the show. Annie's audition impressed Cody's business manager, Nate Salisbury, securing her a spot in the show. Buffalo Bill's Wild West show was an extravagant mix of drama, circus, and rodeo, capturing the essence of the disappearing frontier for urban audiences. Annie Oakley, stepping into this vibrant recreation of the West in April 1885, quickly became a crowd favorite with her sharpshooting skills. She dazzled audiences with her rapid, precise shots, shooting with both hands, using mirrors, and performing incredible feats. Her occasional missed shot, followed by a playful pout, was part of her charm. Annie was a natural, claiming that no one ever taught her to shoot, it was an innate skill. Annie Oakley's success challenged the gender norms of her time. In an era when women faced numerous societal restrictions, she demonstrated that women could excel in traditionally male-dominated fields, paving the way for future generations. Beyond her remarkable marksmanship, Annie Oakley stood out in 19th-century America for defying the conventional norms of feminine attire. Opting for knee-length costumes and allowing her chestnut hair to cascade down her back, she challenged the prevailing expectations of women's fashion during that era. In her thesis titled, Embodying the West, author Julie E. Williams proposes that Oakley's unconventional wardrobe choices were accepted because she embodied the qualities of a feminine, domestic, and virtuous woman. In contrast to her peers in Buffalo Bill's show, who reveled in festivities, Oakley preferred the solace of her tent between performances, engaging in activities like reading her Bible and sewing. Tragedy struck the renowned Wild West show as it crisscrossed America, captivating audiences in town after town with its well-attended performances. The journey, however, came to an abrupt halt in North Carolina on the early morning of October 29, 1901, marked by a harrowing train wreck. An unsuspecting Annie Oakley, asleep during the calamity, was violently ejected from her bunk, plunging her into a 17-hour coma. Upon regaining consciousness, she discovered the left side of her body paralyzed. Only after enduring 5 surgeries, months of arduous recovery and a 2-year struggle did she eventually regain the ability to walk. In the aftermath of the tragic incident, souvenir hunters scoured the wreckage site, reporting discoveries of items from the wreck for weeks. Annie Oakley's career not only showcased her skills but also played a role in encouraging more women to partake in sports, an arena traditionally dominated by men. In 1898, as the specter of the Spanish-American War loomed, Oakley boldly wrote a letter to President William McKinley. In it, she volunteered to organize and train 50 female sharpshooters in anticipation of potential wartime service, an offer that was regrettably declined due to the prevailing restrictions on women serving in the military at that time. By 1901, Annie Oakley had reached the pinnacle of her career. Annie Oakley's chapter with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show had come to a close, prompting her search for a less demanding career. Transitioning to providing shooting lessons for exclusive gun clubs, Oakley embraced a new professional direction. Meanwhile, her husband Frank Butler secured a position with the Union Metallic Cartridge Company, a role that involved demonstrations, allowing the couple to showcase their shooting expertise and endorse the company's products. As World War I unfolded, Oakley, driven by her patriotic spirit, attempted to contribute by offering shooting lessons to the troops, yet faced rejection once again. Undeterred, according to the book Women of the American Circus, Oakley took matters into her own hands. She embarked on a journey across America, delivering shooting lessons and demonstrations for the National War Council of the Young Men's Christian Association and the War Camp Community Service. Philanthropy. Beyond the shooting range, Annie was known for her philanthropic efforts. She often donated her show earnings to various charities, supporting causes such as orphanages and women's rights. Her generosity further solidified her status as a beloved figure. Legacy. Annie Oakley's legacy extends beyond her incredible marksmanship. She challenged gender norms of her time, proving that women could excel in traditionally male-dominated fields. Her talent and charisma made her a trailblazer for women in the entertainment industry. Annie's fame transcended borders as she showcased her skills around the world. Her performances in Europe and beyond solidified her status as an international sensation, captivating audiences with her precision and showmanship. Annie's life wasn't without its hardships. Despite her fame, she faced legal battles to protect her name and reputation. In a time when women's rights were still evolving, Annie Oakley stood her ground, defending her legacy against those who sought to tarnish it. Later years in passing, Annie Oakley continued to perform into her 60s, showcasing her skills around the world. She passed away on November 3, 1926, in Greenville, Ohio, from pernicious anemia. She was laid to rest in Brock Cemetery in Darke County, Ohio. When Annie Oakley passed away in 1926 at the age of 66, Americans mourned the loss of their beloved heroine. The petite marksman, forever aiming to please her fans, left an indelible mark on the public's memory. Fortunately, 2 surviving films captured the prowess of the renowned shooting champion. In the years following Oakley's demise, her life became a source of inspiration for movies, songs, and a television show, weaving fictionalized narratives around her legacy. The initial cinematic portrayal, fittingly titled Annie Oakley, graced screens in 1935 with Barbara Stanwyck in the lead role. The 1946 stage musical Annie Get Your Gun was adapted into a 1950 film starring Betty Hutton, later remade for television in 1957. Between 1954 and 1957, a television series named Annie Oakley ran in syndication, presenting a fictionalized account of Oakley and her brother maintaining order in the town of Diablo. Regardless, Annie Oakley's unapologetic display of her hard-earned skills resonated, firmly establishing her as a modest symbol of the American female spirit during an era when many women were confined to roles as housewives and domestic workers. Undoubtedly, Annie Oakley's enduring strength in the face of tragedy continues to command admiration today. Her legacy stands as a testament to a woman unafraid to showcase her remarkable abilities, transcending the constraints of her time. Enduring influence. Annie Oakley's impact on American culture is immeasurable. Her legacy lives on through films, books, and the enduring image of a sharpshooting woman who defied expectations and left an indelible mark on the Wild West era. Her life was a journey of triumph over adversity, breaking barriers. Annie Oakley's legacy endures through films, books, and the enduring image of a woman who defied expectations. Her impact on the Wild West era and the broader cultural landscape is a testament to her skill, resilience, and determination. Marksmanship records. Annie Oakley's marksmanship wasn't just a spectacle, it set records. She could shoot a dime mid-air, and her accuracy was so unmatched that she once shot the thin edge of playing cards held sideways. These remarkable feats solidified her reputation as one of the greatest markswomen in history. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. Until next time, stay curious, stay intrigued, and keep exploring the incredible stories that define our past.